Hey guys, welcome to Mayfield Ranch. Today we're going to discuss our $50 February. This is all the meal prep we've done throughout the year when we were growing our garden.
This challenge is put on by Rich and Holly over at the Old Swedes Farm, so go check them out. And also, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below of the channels participating, but you can also just type in the hashtag $50 February 2023 and check out all the channels.
And so Katie preserved all these different vegetables for our month of February.
So we'll go through and kind of show you what we've got so far. I'll show you our pantry. We're definitely using this challenge as part of like a pantry freezer challenge because we don't raise our own meat here on our farm. But I'll show you what we do have, and then I'll show you what we've preserved that's in our cabinet. So a couple things that we're taking a little bit of luxury on. We do sell our eggs. So we buy every year some walnuts, and we buy these from Gary's work. So we stick them in the freezer, and I use these for baking a lot. So we're considering this part of $50 February. We did pay for it. It's from a local farmer, and we use the money that we make with the eggs to pay for that. Green beans. So we have a bunch of green beans, and I thought I would show you just a couple different ways that I put them away. This is the lazy way. I just throw them in a Ziploc bag, and these I actually sealed. Like, these are vacuum packed. You can see that these store a little bit better in the freezer. There's not ice on them, or these are iced up. But really, we enjoy them both ways. So either way, whatever you have time to do, this works. We've got green beans. I've got bell peppers. These are kind of iced up too. Bell peppers just sliced up. These are right from our garden. Now, I took out one example out of our freezer. We actually have a bunch of this stuff in the freezer, but just wanted to show you guys what we have and what our options are to cook with. Tomato sauce. So it looks kind of gnarly, but my plan was make the tomato sauce, freeze it when I had time to actually make it as the tomatoes were coming in, and then can everything. You can see that it's all still in the freezer. I actually didn't even can tomato sauce this year. We were gifted a couple tomato sauces, which we used. Those are already gone. They were super good. But this is our tomato sauce, all still in the freezer, so I'll pull it out. Now, this is quite a big batch of tomato sauce, so that'll make us a few meals, but we'll use that. We've got some pumpkins still sitting on the counter, butternut squash, spaghetti squash. I'll show you kind of our stock of winter squash that we still have here in February. We've got a melon. No, we haven't cut that open yet. That's one sitting here. We're actually going to try that with dinner tonight. If it's good, we're going to eat it. If it's not good, it'll go to the chickens. And then we have a handful of zucchini also. Kind of same thing. It's not really meant to store this long. If it's good, we're going to eat it. If not, it'll go out to the chickens. We do have a little bit of delicata squash left, so we're going to try that. It doesn't store as long as some of the winter squashes, so we're kind of borderline there if that's going to work, but we're going to give it a try. Some other things that we have, broccoli. I've got some broccoli here. Same thing, we grew this in our garden, cut it up, stick it in the freezer. We didn't grow a ton of broccoli, so we actually don't have a lot of broccoli in the freezer, but what we have we're going to use. Green enchilada sauce. So with some of our tomatoes that didn't ripen up, I made some enchilada sauce with them and stuck that in the freezer. So we've got that. We do have quite a bit of eggplant. We will eat the eggplant on its own. Like, we'll eat it with Parmesan cheese and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's how we like it the best, is actually we put this in our spaghetti to kind of beef it up, if you will, to use a little bit less meat. So this is a perfect way to like stretch your budget, or for this $50 February challenge. We found that this works great for us because we can use less beef. Like, we like to put hamburger on our spaghetti and use a bunch of eggplant, and it's really good. And we've done that with zucchini and like other squashes too, but that's really good. So one of Gary's favorite meals, I'll let you tell him.
One of my favorite meals is spaghetti. So we've been on this keto diet, so what I have to substitute the noodles for spaghetti squash. So it works out. It doesn't taste exactly like noodles, but it's doable. So
we make it work.
Make it work.
Let's see. Let's show you a couple other things we have here. What's it? Oh, some spinach. So I have a bunch of Malabar spinach. This is iced up a little bit, but all I really did is clean this off really well, put it in the Ninja, chop it up, and then stick it in the freezer. We like dips. So we like spinach artichoke dip. So that's why I say a little bit of our $50 February is actually going to be somewhat of a freezer pantry challenge. So we grew the spinach. We didn't grow the artichokes. They're in our pantry. So we'll throw that in with some sour cream, some cheese. And that'll make a good dip for us. We could eat it on like pork rinds.
Pork rinds, yep.
What do you call those?
Those are chicharrones.
Okay. I also have some cauliflower, so I just label it chopped cauliflower. Same thing. We didn't grow a ton of cauliflower, but what we did, I just cleaned it, chop it up in the Ninja, throw it in the freezer. Now there's actually a recipe that I want to try with this. Well, it's not really a recipe. I made it up, but I'm going to try it and see if it turns out good. And I'll make that with you guys. I'll share it if it's any good. What else do we have? So banana squash. So I grew some banana squash. It's similar to pumpkin if you haven't had it before, but it's huge. Like it gets really big and it's easy to cut. So I actually kind of prefer it to pumpkin. I made a bunch of frozen banana squash. We can either make a soup out of this or it can be kind of a side, like an alternate to potatoes. So I have a bunch of this in the freezer. Let me next show you a couple things I've made to help us get through the month a little bit easier. So egg bites. We have a ton of these in the freezer, so we can just grab them. Now, I dehydrated some kale powder and some of our Malabar spinach to like a green powder and add that to the egg bites, and it tastes really good. So I just throw some onions, some peppers, heavy cream, eggs, and cheese if you want, if you have it. And make these egg bites, stick them in the freezer. They're perfect to just grab out of the freezer, take for lunches, and they're really good. And then same idea with this. It's kind of the same thing, but just if you don't have an instant pot and it's not easy for you to make these egg bites, then I just put this in a pan. So it's basically eggs, peppers, onions. If you have bacon, ham, whatever meat you like to throw in there, some cheese, spices. I like to always put some dehydrated jalapenos. Gary really likes that in here, and just make like a big pan of eggs, cut it all up, stick it in a freezer bag. Same thing, perfect to just pull out, take for your lunches. And we have eggs, so I'll show you our eggs here.
I like hard-boiled eggs too, by the way.
Yeah, he likes hard-boiled eggs.
I like just to take them to work.
I don't make it as frequently as he would like for me to, but we have an abundance of eggs, so we have plenty of eggs to get us through $50 February. If we were willing to eat eggs every day, we could survive off eggs.
Hard-boiled ones every day, probably.
He can eat eggs a little bit better than I can every single day. I prefer, I don't know, something else. So they're fine. We eat them. And actually, for this month, we've been eating quite a bit of eggs. I've been trying to find like a variety of ways to make them. I prefer them in the egg bite because they can change that recipe, change the flavor profile up a little bit, and it's a little bit different. So let me show you what we bought. So I'm not really counting this butter towards our $50, and I'll tell you why. So of course we bought it. We bought it some months past, and it was actually about to expire. So it was something I would have had to throw out, and I threw it in the freezer instead. Now, that's not rocket science. I'm sure most of you guys know to do that. But we were planning for $50 February throughout the year. So I just stuck this in the freezer and thought, oh, that'll be perfect. I can pull it out and use it. It would have otherwise gone to waste. So this is in the freezer. I didn't count this towards our $50 budget. But what we did count towards our $50 budget and what we bought so far. So this is heavy cream. This costs like $5 or $6. We bought this back in January, so it's like about half full, but we're definitely using this in February. So this is going towards our $50 budget. We bought this pepper bacon. This is his favorite.
You can not go wrong with bacon. Bacon goes good with everything.
So we bought this at, what's the canned food store called? What's the real name of it?
Grocery outlet?
Grocery outlet. So we've got a grocery outlet if you guys have one around. This was $8 and it's a pretty big pack. So how big is this?
You're looking at 48 ounces, which is 3 pounds.
Okay. So it's 3 pounds of bacon. This was $8 and it's pepper bacon that we like. I think in Walmart, I don't know how many pounds it is, but it's like 18 or 20 bucks for like the big pack. So this is for sure a good deal. So $8 went towards this. $5 or $6 went towards this. We're going to probably use about half of this in February. So maybe $4 or $5. We bought 2 apples for a recipe that I want to make with the cauliflower. One of those apples went missing.
That was good for lunch.
So I got 1 apple left. So I'm going to use that with a recipe with some butternut squash, some cauliflower, some apples. And I'll make that with you guys and share it with you. If it turns out good, I'll let you know. I emergency had to stop and buy some sour cream. Gary texted me while I was out and asked me to pick up some sour cream. So I did. This was $2.50. When I got home, I put it next to the other sour cream that we had in the fridge.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
You didn't see it. So this goes towards our budget. We bought bananas. So we actually bought a whole pack. We have 1 left. This cost about $2, our pack of bananas. And then the other thing that we bought so far, we bought this right at the end of January. They're still kind of good. But we bought some cherry tomatoes also at the grocery outlet when we grabbed that bacon. I think this was like $4, $5. So I should have saved the receipt. The only thing we actually bought like in February was the sour cream and bananas. But we're using all this in February, so we're counting this towards the budget. So far, let's see. We've probably spent about $20 so far in February at the grocery store on groceries for $50 February. So Bubs, what's been your best meal so far?
I like the pozole, especially in the cold weather. It seems to warm me up pretty good. It fills you up, and it's one of my favorite meals.
So we're about halfway through February now, a little bit more than halfway. So far, it's been going pretty good. There have been a couple things that we're missing. Like we're definitely missing soda. I'm definitely missing Starbucks. We tend to eat out a little bit more frequently than we've been doing in February. So we'll try to make one more video near the end of the month to let you know kind of how we finished it up. If we have any really good recipes out of it, we'll share with you guys, just help you guys stretch your budget. And then also we'll try to make some notes and share with you what we're going to do different next year. So hopefully we're better prepared for $50 February 2024. What would we do different next year for $50 February, Bubs?
What would we do different? I don't know, babe. I mean, I'm ready to go outside, babe. Come on. I didn't know we were going to sit here and be here for like 30 minutes. You said it was quick. This is not quick. I don't like you recording me too when I'm acting like this. What?
Okay, what would we do different? We're going to have a bigger pumpkin patch.
Hopefully our tomatoes will grow a little bit better this year. We had a real bad problem with tomatoes. They got frostbitten in the beginning of the season. So they got burned. Like our starters.
They got frozen and we had to start over.
They got frostbitten, yes. Some of them made it, but the ones that did make it were not producing.